And those of you who don't know me, I'm actually the younger brother of the chairman of NMJ, Abdulazim Lavinga. I'm the younger brother. I know most of you I've met today, yesterday, so we're all intact. The actual topics that I was assigned to by my childhood friend Abid, we went to school together, was tourism, facilitating tourism and immigration in Mombasa. So I have no idea about anything about this topic myself, but if it was something related to IT, I could have probably helped you guys out. We'll start with the first question, and this is going to be for you, Sahil, since I looked at your abstract. Let's talk about the facilitation of tourism and immigration settlement, and what your opinion is on how the Jamaat can facilitate this in Mombasa.
All protocols observed. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Now, I'm not sure everyone has or not. My suggestion and proposal was to have global unions for the Nasapuri Amman Jamaat. And we are talking global unions not only for tourism and immigration, but global unions that relate to various other fields like education, medical, trade, and we can go on and on. Now, how these unions would come into act is that these unions would have members from each NMJ branch from across the world, where they would have all the details and documentations in place as to what's required when in terms of migrating from, let's say, Mombasa to Canada, what an individual may require, what sort of protocols are in place that need to be observed as well. And also when it comes to the topic of tourism, there is various things that can be considered and looked into when it comes to tourism. And one thing I'd like to mention is that we could learn a lot through tourism. When an individual goes from one country to another, there is a lot of different things you're going to be looking at. And for example, Kenya being a third world country, and you compare it to a first world country, there's a lot that's happening there that's not happening here. So we can basically, through our travels, whether leisure, whether business, whether educational, whether medical, can use that as a benchmarking point to come back or go back to wherever we are going to go to and implement and move towards a better and developed future.
So kind of like a checklist. That's
Yes.
what you're looking at. Okay.
Yes.
So I want to ask the same question from a global committee standpoint, right? I want to ask.
Anyway, I think globally how we can help tourism come up is by, we get a lot of offers of opportunities in our US, in Canada, and that's where we see like most of our brothers from Kenya especially, very few of them do visit. Coming to immigration, I think I have not much to say because immigration is pretty a difficult point. Even if you write a letter of invitations here right now with the US Embassy, it becomes very difficult for somebody to travel. But globally, as Sahil said, we can do a lot of union globals, which I do agree. And I repeat back what Hossein said about opening up the apps, and that's the only way that all of us can get united under one roof.
Thank you. So
Melisani of Kohli. Jazakallah, Yasin Bhai. All right, global affairs, the composition of the Global Affairs Committee should consist of all the 5 Jamaats, basically, and it should have at least 2 members from every Jamaat, because what happens is mare countries ja regulations alag ain and mare countries ja systems ji are not the same. So we need to come on one platform first to discuss, even if it is to do with immigration. However, if I want to migrate, for example, or for studies even, a child wants to go to Canada or US. Currently, what's happening is our children are actually doing it on their own. कोई पण platform ना है really, and I believe that if we have a committee which is comprising of different countries, what will happen is that we will discuss these issues, and we are supposed to be proactive, I believe. Currently, we are not proactive. We are waiting for an application to come, or we are waiting for us to be told problem I, and then now we start looking at. Now that will do even if it is to do with tourism, for simple reasons like if I want to travel for a wedding also, I don't know how to go, but for that reason, today medical tourism is on the high rise. Agar panke experience kya aayu, especially right now that when we are having so many cases which are going for medical tourism to India or different parts of the world, we don't have a particular system. Every time we are reinventing the wheel. The one who is going has to go through the same procedure. So on this base, what we should do, we should have this global committee which is going to look into all these aspects, have a paper ready for different countries and advise and guide the respective individual how to go about it. And not only that, in fact, I feel that as a Jamaat, we should go one step further and say, okay, what documents are required? Where are you planning to go? These are the hospitals available. And let's give you, give us all your, these are documents required, and we will take you through to the event that we are going to get you your visas, we'll advise you. And that can only happen when we have a global representation, because we already discussed all that is available. So I think it's very important to have different members being from different communities to be sitting on that Global Affairs Committee. Jazakallah.
Yeah, so I echo that just because we can go back to what Hasnain said earlier.
Brother Ayub, about forming a global committee. In fact, even about the Hasnain Bagaz, Hasnain
Nurani.
Yeah.
Nurani.
Sorry, Mr. Hasnain. His point about framing one app, but I have also some limitations. I wanted to speak about the limitations about those apps, because what will happen is every country has got its own laws. So, like for example, the constitutions are created with the laws of the country. Like an example, in Canada, women have rights to be part of that voting rights, whereas in Mombasa and Nairobi, you don't have those rights. So those are the points which first we have to finalize to make it into one point. So that's where it comes to when now you want to, for example, if you want to travel to Canada, yes, my personal suggestion would be, if you want to immigrate, as Brother Shabir Baga had told us, that we have 500,000 every year for the next 3 years, 1.5 million immigrants are going to be given to Canada. The best way, what I think, is to go via education. So our youths can start planning to go abroad. And that's the only thing they would need to support themselves for 1 year. After that, they can get a job, because Canada government has allowed for 40 hours of working. So that's the way I look at it. And tourism, yeah, that's the only way with the global idea. Thank you.
Yeah, tourism would work as a global idea, exactly. From an immigration standpoint, if you're going as a student visa, there are different laws for different countries. That's understood. All right, so I'm going to turn our attention to a different area under welfare. And what I'll do is we want to talk about, so I'm going to start with the current Home Affairs Chairman of Mombasa, Osman Uncle, to provide his input and to clarify what areas that we need further clarification on this.
Thank you, Yasin.
Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, to the organizing committee, thank you for having me here. It's an honor. At my age, they are still dragging me into these issues, but I'm trying my best. Thank you. I have been in the system, in the Jamaat, for almost more than 50 years now, and I have seen the best of both parts, 25 years ago and 25 years after that. The mindset that we were discussing was totally different at that time. And right now, talking to you, I'm still a member of the managing committee, and I can see the mindset totally different now. That politics, which used to be there amongst ourselves in the community, is no more now. Our youth are very much matured, very much educated, and their thinking is totally different. Now, coming to the matrimonial issues, of course, in any community, we have ups and downs. We have cases where within one night, the girl goes back to her maitre. Within one night. There are cases of people who are as old as 50 to 60 years, and it seems they are tired of their wives and the burdens and the taboos that they go through with their children, especially with the wife. They want to divorce the wife. Now, our job is to sit with them and counsel them and talk to them. And alhamdulillah, by talking to them, we have some experts in our committee. We can sit and talk to them, and sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But we try our best. That's part one. Part two, through my experience, I have learned that our girls who live in foreign countries, Canada, States, England, for them to live in Kenya is difficult. For holidays, good. But a boy from here getting married to a girl from Canada, America, England, is difficult for her to stay here. It becomes very rosy in the beginning, but later on, it's difficult for the girl. Unless the boy, thinking that he wants to settle in those foreign countries, the intention is to get married, to go to that place, and support from the in-laws, that's fine, accepted. But just getting married through either Facebook or through other means, and then getting married, it is not easy. So my advice to many parents and brothers here is that please advise your children to look for partners who can stay with you. If it is in Kenya, yes. Sometimes even a Nairobi girl living here becomes difficult. Life is different in Nairobi. And life is different here in Mombasa. Mombasa is a very sleepy town. Asa ke khoraki khane nindar ache. Asa have a lunch la kare usyasi khali spread nara ne nindar avite. So imagine eating food and then sitting here and dozing off. Where I was sitting, there were guys dozing around near me. But alhamdulillah, so now actually there are a few things that we come across issues about our children. Once they get married, the worst thing is our phones. That's the biggest enemy. He panja je ki cell phones ain. He haroj subuh jo pinji maa ke phone karindi chokri. Let us listen. जी माँ के चौंदी के कुरो बनाया घर में कुरो खेंजो है कुरो रसोई बने थी and then it leads to so many other talks. खबर ने कि हिकरी गाल में जा रही थी केतरी बियू गालियों पर निकलन हाँ तो जी निरान आवी भी तो जी ही आवी करो थियो. These are the things which actually point to breaking of the relations. Please avoid that. That's the only advice I can give to all our girls. Once the girls get married or you have your daughters getting married, please, as parents, advise them to use that phone only in emergency, not to use it totally, because no in-laws will like it. Let me tell you, no in-laws like it. Anke chondana, but they don't like it. Control it and use it only when required. Thank you very much, Yasin.
Thank you.
Can I add something on that point?
Yes, Isaac Ba, I knew you were going to add something, so go ahead.
Jazakallah, Osman Ba, mashallah, you gave us a very nice advice, and I thought even the women will take advice from that. I just have one point on that issue about the talking and all. I believe before even the girl and the boy are married, there should be a counseling. I mean, we should have a counseling, so this thing, what do you call it, a counseling committee
Marriage counsel.
that would guide the girl and the boy and discuss with them what they are entering into. Before even the home affairs comes, home affairs should be the last stage. So we should have a counseling committee before they get married. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, to answer him, we have a system whereby the girl and the boy, together with their families, they go for registration in the Jamaat's chairman's office, and here the Jamaat's chairman has a full liberty to advise those couples and give them counseling.
So just quickly to add to that, Isaac Ba, I agree with you because from my personal example, right, I actually attended a wedding in Atlanta.
Marriage, all these things have to be discussed and you have to be on the same page. So I agree that premarital counseling is a very big issue, and we should focus on that, more preventative than cure. I mean, so.
Thank you.
Point, Pamate, Memon Health Services Board Janiche Panji Kri Navi Society form thi hai, Memon Counseling Services. इनमें पांचों professional counselors बेरियो थी ने they are working on a proposal for to make premarital counseling a must, not limited to 2 sessions, but they will be holding, and they are working on that proposal to Dr. Alim. It will be coming to you shortly, but I know because I work closely with these girls, so it's already in the pipeline, so thank you very much.
That's a good process that we're looking at.
World. Youth feel like they are being surrounded by a particular a cage, something that they don't want. Youth don't want to be told anything. Youth don't want to be, it's at that point where they are just after adolescence. And they feel that we should have that liberty to take our own decisions, which most of the time may not be the right ones, because they do not have the guidance to take the right steps. Now, I believe that youth in general should, how do I put this? I mean, one of the greatest benefits that the youth in our Jamaat have today is by having a youth association. This youth association has now given us the opportunity to hang around together, be friends, bond, and learn and get to know a lot more about each other, a lot more about our surroundings, and an opportunity to learn about the Jamaat. Us getting to learn about the Jamaat at an early stage is giving us the opportunity to focus on a lot of Jamaat-based items, and how we can start giving back to our Jamaat, and how we can start giving back to our community. Now, Memon Youth Association is that platform that inshallah will be able to transform a youth into a leader. That is what one of the biggest aims of Memon Youth Association is, making it possible for one of us to grow and have a platform of your own and grow into leadership into our Jamaats. Now, not only in our Jamaats, later as well, get into the surroundings of our countries. So, the role of youth in our Jamaat is basically not very much strong at this point in time, because a lot of our youth are trying to step back from the Jamaat. Now, through the Youth Association, we are now trying to engage more youth into the Jamaat, and as we do that, we are able to now bring in more members, build the confidence of all the youth, trying to give them duties, allocated duties to work on them, that will inshallah help them to build their confidence in doing a lot more in life ahead.
Jazakallah Miqdad. So the Nairobi and the Mombasa
Again, jete panya nojawan chevia, we have both youth associations in Mombasa and in Nairobi. Globally, I don't know, youth associations ain't kena, but the youth are there. So just the way we have talked of, the global committee, global affairs committee, I think it would be extremely good to have a link between these two committees in Mombasa and Nairobi and globally, ताकि all the youth can come on a single platform all over the world, Panjuji Panjama Twain, and they interact, they share ideas. With that, of course, we would then be able to come up with some youth exchange programs whereby youth from overseas, from the diaspora, would be able to come down. We would probably be able to have stuff like youth camps and stuff, be it wherever, once in a while, starting off with, maybe Kenya, and then at US, Canada, wherever. And in this way, we bring our youth together. That's probably one of the things that we can do.
Just add on to that. So to answer the question here, Panji Canada ji Executive Committee mein, the committee itself has got 2 youth members, the secretary and the assistant secretary. And I don't know if we can count Nadeem Bhai as a youth.
I wouldn't.
You will, of course. Everybody does. And so is the assistant treasurer. So alhamdulillah, it's kind of like got a youth flavor. One thing we must bear in mind is the issues would change based on the numbers, right? If you look at Mombasa and Nairobi communities, you've got a higher number of people, so there are more youth. So if you organize an event or some activity, you are going to get a good sizable attendance. If you compare that with perhaps UK or US and Canada, if you organize an event, because of the vastness of the regions, it's sometimes very difficult to get the youth to attend in person on a regular basis, so we might have to go remote and all those kind of things. It's just something to bear in mind.
Jazakallah. I think.
And all other habits that are not acceptable. I'm not putting everybody in the same boat. What I'm pleading, what I'm trying to put across is, let's say Qatar bahat se waje, right? Let's accept that there are some things our men are doing wrong. Let's just take a look in that direction. And please, let's try to understand our girls. Let's try to understand them. Let's not put them in that box all the time. Please, that's my plea to you. All due respect to everybody, I don't want to offend anybody. Thank you.
Thank you. I second that.
So just to take us back a little bit, is the way our upbringing has been of boys and girls in the past. It's always been the girl is the homemaker, the girl is responsible to take care of the child, the girl is the one responsible to take care of the house. Poi time avyo ke papanje girls ke education provision dinasi. Rightfully so, we started educating our girls as well as our boys. So then what happened is the girls also got ambitious, probably even more than the boys, some of them, and or equally. Poi economy narje, especially in the COVID times, we realized that financial aspects could not only be handled by the boys, and the girls to some extent had to support as well, economically, financially. So there were some times when even the boys were laid out of jobs and all, the men and the educated girls, even other girls in the house, from house, they started doing businesses and supporting. The problem is that our training is still based on the girl being responsible for the house, the girl being responsible for the children, the girl being responsible for taking care of everything. Yet, especially when this is the same girl who is out there, supposed to also go with her career, go with the ambitions and work and look for financial income as well, in certain cases where economically the men are not that well off or any, because of the lifestyles also that we are living in right now and the cost of living. Now what has not changed, unfortunately, in some families is the upbringing of boys versus girls. And that aspect of partnership, I think we need to bring into our community. Now that, as we progress, I think that's one aspect that we also have to look at. The upbringing of the boy child has to change from what we have been doing in the past. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mikdad.
Let's
keep silent, guys.
Before I get married, or
let's
before I get married, I would really appreciate, uji ki sagai jo time veto, we could actually use that as the learning period of how a marriage is conducted, how a marriage goes
Gentlemen,
on.
let's keep the sidebars, please. Let's not have sidebars. Let's listen to what the brother has to say, please.
And I mean, I would really appreciate how much I will get to learn, and because honestly, to a point, we youth have a particular perspective of how marriage is. My parents are the best couple in this world. They don't fight. Yes, they do fight, but they're always okay, they're always happy. Then how do people get married and Allah bachai, like just start planning their divorce within the first 2 days? That's something that is not acceptable for the future of the youth. And I believe that this counseling is really, really going to benefit us youth. And if it is actually worked on, inshallah, it will help all the youth. And we can have sessions of those counseling sessions through the youth association, inshallah.
Jazakallah. So I'm going to conclude,
Yasin, just one final point. I know you're in a rush, but nothing related to this topic because I know it's coming back. One of the chairmans mentioned on the youth, and I think Mikdad has mentioned in regards to the same. I will just like to give a small example, borrowing a leaf from an international organization that's mainly tourism based. Now, this specific organization and many others run normally just the way we as a community run, but they also have a smaller organization running side by side next to it, known as the Young Skal. Basically, what this organization does is it focuses entirely on the youth and it does not focus on the youth from a specific region only, but it focuses on a global level. So if we pick up the point that was earlier said of having a global NMJ app or even a website where it's got a section that's focused and entitled to the youth, where they can all go, see what's going on, what events are happening in regards to the youth, how they can interact, and what sort of platform they have to come up and voice their opinions and be heard. I think that would help us into gaining a better future tomorrow, because the same youth that we have today are the ones who are going to be sitting where our current chairmen are sitting tomorrow, and they are the same who would be filling up these seats.
Yeah, Jazakallah. And I want to thank the panelists for your time, and I'm going to call Brother Imtiaz Abu up here.